Okay, we'll be reviewing card number 7, and this is from the Uluwatu. And the Uluwatu managed to get a 5-star card called Serena. And Serena at 5 stars is an 8/6 with the ability of protection bonus. Now, firstly, what is your initial thoughts on it, Slify?
I really like Serena, actually. 10 power, which is pretty nice, even against SOB. 8 power is very solid. 6 damage, pretty good.
Wait. Sorry, you said against SOB. I mean, it has protection though, hasn't it?
Oh, well, SOB and SOA. Touche. I was going to get to that.
Yeah,
Sorry.
okay.
Okay, but continuing on, it has protection, so SOB isn't a problem. If you're fighting both, there's usually not many cards that have both that have 8 power. I believe there are none.
There's none.
No. Right. And 6 damage is very decent. Allows a lot of 2-hit KOs, a lot of Fury 2-hit KOs with some of their best 3 stars. And yeah, 5 stars is a lot and weak to DR. Completely agreed. But let's be fair, what in Uluwatu isn't?
Yeah. And what's your initial thoughts on it, Prime?
Yeah, it's a very good card. Not so much for Elo since they already had Lullaby, but for Type 2 Survivor, it's really interesting.
Okay.
And it can hardly be touched, you know, and even though there are a lot of damage reductions out there, it's still amazing that you have 10/6. That's awesome.
Okay. My stance on Serena is unfortunately DRs. I really don't. I myself aren't very good with Uluwatu. Perhaps you probably will have to pair this card up with Buck, perhaps maybe, or something like that. Or something with like a half deck which has high power at least. Otherwise, I don't know. I wouldn't say this card would be as effective. Unfortunately, it is flawed by the DRs, as I said. I mean, in that sense, I mean, you won't be able to do that much impact on the game with her, especially since she's a 5-star, and, you know, you're wasting it against the DR or whatever. But at the same time, though, 10 power, it can take out anything in the Elo metagame at the moment. I can't think of a single card that would be able to match up against it in terms of power and all that stuff. So in that sense, I really do like this card in that sense, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anything you'd like to add, Slify, or...?
Well, we shouldn't forget the fact that this is a really good card in T2, especially T2 Survivor. It definitely changes and makes Uluwatu even better, which is scary because they originally were very good.
Yeah.
So...
I think it further makes them want to play them, actually. But I myself do play with Uluwatu in Survivor with, like, Umbre, Grax, Uranus, and Trin. I sometimes use Trin. I don't use it sometimes. But I think this card would replace, perhaps, Wheelie. Or maybe even... I mean, I would say it's better than Lullaby. Well, actually, then again, Lullaby's good against DRs, actually. But you never mind that. But I suppose he would replace one of the 5 stars for the Uluwatu, which is further makes people want to play this card, I suppose, which is why it's so good. And it's also a good counter against the Nightmare, as Prime said. I mean, because of the protection, the SOB doesn't affect it. So there you go. So that's just my thoughts on that, I suppose. But I think this. Do you think it would be a good investment though, Prime, or not really?
Well, that depends on if people also play her in Elo.
Okay.
So, and since Lullaby was present long before Serena and Elo, and nobody really used her a lot, then the 5-star for Uluwatu will be not so interesting to put up in that. And I also see, pretty big decrease in price. She's already down to 14k on full level.
Okay.
So I think that's also partly because she's not so amazingly in Elo, but in Survivor Type 2, yeah, she's good.
I was just thinking actually about Elo. Do both of you think that she will be used in Elo or not? Because I was just thinking about Stanley as the Elo 5-star for the Uluwatu.
I think she'll be used. I think she will be used. She won't replace Stanley. Some people use Stanley, some people use her based on preference. I like her a little bit more than Stanley. Stanley's confidence, and Stanley's 8 damage is really nice, and a lot of 2-hit KOs, but at the same time, in the right half deck, she's better than Stanley, so...
Okay.
Player preference.
And what about you, Prime? Do you have the same thoughts on that, or...?
Yeah, it's preference, but I like to compare her to Lullaby, and then it's not much new. They have slightly different effects, of course.
Okay.
Because Serena still doesn't manage to stop the Montana or our bonuses with attack manipulation.
But on the other hand, though, does have the amazingly high power, so just easily walks over the attack manipulation in that sense.
That's also true.
So I think we can go to ratings, I suppose. So out of 10, Slify, how much would you give Serena then?
Can't remember what I gave her on the stall thing, but I think I'm gonna give her a 9 out of 10. I think that's less than I gave her before. She has very solid power. Her ability is usually ignorable, actually, from my gameplay experience. But at the same time, she has really no flaws except DR, which isn't that. It's a huge flaw, but you can't really avoid it fairly. So it's a good card.
Okay. And out of 10, Prime, what would you give her?
9.5.
Okay.
Mostly because of the Survivor addition she brings. It makes Uluwatu even more powerful.
Okay.
Well, I like that.
Well, I think in summary of all our arguments, I think Serena is definitely a good card. Ain't gonna lie, 10 power. It would definitely most of the time be unopposed. I mean, unless someone is crazy enough to play their full stopper on this thing, in which case I commend you for your courage. But 10 power is just superb, and my only kind of flaw would be that the fact that the 6 damage is okay for a 5-star, but it's just that DRs could stop her on her tracks a little bit, which is my only issue. But at the same time, though, I mean, as others have said, I mean, with the being able to be used in Type 2 Survivor would be a definite use, really. I mean, I wouldn't really see her too much in Elo, maybe. But, definitely Type 2, I can see her absolutely ripping up some Grax and Uranus, I suppose, and all those sort of things. But there you go.